Over the past day, silver has fallen off of a cliff. It's starting to recover a bit, but what in the world is happening? Well, stick around if you want to find out. And more importantly, what is silver's price about to do next?
Connection established.
This week's gold and silver specials at Miles Franklin are the 1 ounce silver Philharmonics, only $3.15 over spot. Also the beautiful $10 gold Liberties, only $99 over melt. And last but not least, the $20 gold Liberties, $144 over melt. That's not all though, folks. We have 100-ounce bars as low as $1.79 over spot. Seriously, the largest inventory I've ever seen. Honored to be able to give you guys this opportunity. Slayer at milesfranklin.com. Now let's break down what in the world silver's price has been doing over the last day or so. But I will also be mentioning what actually happened for silver's price to get affected so suddenly and dramatically. Make sure you subscribe. I'm doing a silver giveaway soon as we approach 100,000 subscribers. So silver forecast plunges after surprise CPI reading in America. Silver has initially tried to rally during the trading session on Tuesday, but got crushed as soon as the CPI numbers in the United States came out. This is hinting at delayed Fed rate cuts. CPI numbers were hotter than anticipated, so now everybody is panicking that perhaps the Federal Reserve won't be able to cut rates anytime soon. Whether or not that's the case remains to be seen. But all things being equal, I think you have to look at this through the scenario that you are perhaps finding a bit of value. The $22 level, of course, is an area that has been important multiple times. And I think at this point, the market will continue to see a lot of back and forth, noisy behavior. We are in the midst of a longer consolidation range that extends from the $22 level to the $26 level. If we were to break down below $22, then the $21 level could be a target, but we'll have to wait and see. That's an area that's been an important role a couple of times in the past, so not overly surprising if we were to go down there. What would be surprising is if we broke down below that level and then fell apart. So ultimately, I think this is a situation where you're looking for signs of a bounce that you could take advantage of because silver is on sale at the moment. The question now is whether or not you are going to find your price now or if it's something that you're going to find a little bit down the road. Either way, I do think that selling silver is almost impossible. I just don't see the argument for it. At this time, he is waiting for a little bit of a bounce. If we can close down above the $20 level for the trading session, I think that would be a very positive sign without the wait and see whether or not this actually plays out. But right now, that's my hope, and that would give me a little bit more confidence in buying. Remember that silver is an extraordinarily volatile contract, so you need to be cautious with your position sizing. All things being equal, you need to pay attention to interest rates, the US dollar, and of course, industrial demand. Because of this, we have a lot of push and pull in the silver market. So before we share this video, I wanted to mention that I'm glad he hit on several different points. This isn't as simple as just silver goes up and silver goes down because of one thing, especially given the amount of speculation and fear there is in the markets. People assuming that numbers are going to do one thing and then do the other catches them off guard. Silver is a very volatile metal. It's a much smaller market than gold. It hits higher highs and lower lows. It's a more extreme, more dramatic version, which is also more dangerous. He hints at the point of people finding their number, finding their price. It is an opportunity to get silver for cheap, and you need to take advantage of that, in my opinion, because if you think that $22.39 silver is too pricey, you probably shouldn't be jumping into this market regardless, because that means you don't understand the value of silver and, more importantly, the value of the dollar. Now, here is a second article titled Silver Price Analysis. Silver hangs near year-to-date lows, seems poised to decline further. Now, let me remind you, silver did hold on to that psychological $22 level. And I say psychological because just like at Walmart, they're going to price something $19.99 and not $20 because looking at 19 seems so much cheaper. Well, it works that same exact way for silver as well. If you see silver's in the $19 range now, you're going to start panicking. We're living in very extreme times, so people act very irrationally. That's why I say invest with your head, not your heart. There's a lot of impulse buying, a lot of panic selling, a lot of fear, uncertainty, doubt, and the speculation that leads up to anytime federal chairman Jerome Powell comes out and says they're going to do X, Y, Z. People are assuming, expecting what he's going to say, and then after he says it, a lot of times he's just giving an idea on what they're planning to do by the second quarter. So it's all speculation, and something like precious metals that are tangible shouldn't be based off of speculation. Prices should be based off of the fundamentals. But that's just not the world we live in. But that's also why you have to remember prices are going to be very dramatic. That's the danger behind all of this. But anyways, let's keep moving on. Silver adds to overnight heavy losses and drops to 2-month lows set in December. The technical setup favors bearish traders and supports prospects for further near-term losses. Any attempt recovery could get sold into and is likely to remain capped near the $23.50 area. Now that's interesting because we are at $22, mid $22. So over the next day or so, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But right now, a lot of people are very worried. This is an opportunity to get silver on sale like the previous video mentioned. He said silver is extremely cheap. He sees it impossible to sell. Why would you sell when it's low? It's supposed to be buy low, sell high. Don't buy high, just hope it goes higher. That's not investing. That's more like gambling. So silver remains under some selling pressure for the second successive day, slides back closer to the year-to-day lows that's during the first half of the European session on Wednesday. The white metal currently trades below the $22 round figure and seems to extend the depreciating move. It is above this $22 figure now, though. So from a technical perspective, this article also came out today, though. So at the time of this article coming out, it has recovered a bit. So the recent repeated failures near the very important 200-day simple moving average, or the SMA, and a subsequent slide validate the near-term negative outlook for silver. Furthermore, oscillators on the daily chart are holding deep into the negative territory and are still away from being in the oversold zone. This in turn suggests that the path of least resistance for the white metal remains to the downside. What do they mean by that? Well, see how they used they mentioned it's deep in negative territory and far from the oversold zone. Well, support levels are what silver's trying to stay above. Resistance is what it's trying to break above. So it's trying to stay above the $22 support level. If it breaks below that, things could get very, very serious. Because look, let's go to the 6-month chart. See how it always hangs when it does start to fall. It always hangs in mid or low $20, but it bounces back. Well, we could even go to like the year chart. Well, if it would break below and dramatically lower, so even this huge dip right here was still 20, even here 20. If it would go down to $19, like the Walmart, situation, it would go probably a lot lower. But since it is holding on, it is nowhere near, in a second part, it's nowhere near oversold territory. When something goes into overbought territory, like right here, perfect example, it went from $20 all the way up to $26. This happened within, a very short period of time. That is overbought territory. The price hasn't had time to stabilize. It needs to go up a little bit, down a little bit, up a little more, down a little more. And if it doesn't, if it just goes straight up, then it's going to crash, usually lower than where it started, even before that huge rally, like Bitcoin in 2016, 2017. It went from like $800 to $16,000 within like a couple of months. And that's why it crashed and took like 3-4 years to recover. It's just, probably 3 years. And that's a perfect example of extreme overbought territory. So he's mentioning this, and that in turn suggests that this is the path of least resistance for the white metal, which remains for the downside, since there is not much buying. But meanwhile, some follow-through selling below the 2-month low touched in December will expose the $21.40 level support levels, and silver could weaken further below the $21 mark and aim to retest the October swing. And that's near $20.70. But remember, at the time of him writing this, silver's price was not above that $22 level, which it currently now is, but we'll have to wait until tomorrow. On the flip side, any meaningful recovery attempt might now confront stiff resistance ahead of mid-$22. And that's important because we are at mid-22s. So if, this is a lot of resistance. So if it breaks above this, that could be around the 23 mark. But if it doesn't, he's saying we could go a lot farther down. But if this momentum could extend towards 200-day SMA, then currently around $23.20 area. This is followed by 2350 supply zone, which if cleared decisively will negate the negative outlook. So that's where we're at, but this is a very important part right here. Silver might then aim to reclaim the $24 level, and it's important for anyone trying to see what silver is going to do if it could climb back up. There's a $24 round figure, and it's climbing further towards the next relevant hurdle near $24.50. But here we go. This is en route to the $25 psychological mark. Like I mentioned, the Walmart metaphor again, if we break at that $25 psychological mark, that would be a lot of good news. If it breaks above that, there's a lot of resistance at $25, at $30, at $50. These are times that silver never breaks above. It always gets there, but then it bounces back down. But if we could break above 25, it would probably hit 30 shortly after. If we break above 30, it would probably, and we go well into $35, $36, we'd probably see $50. It would be a lot of overbought territory, so it wouldn't last there. The price needs to stabilize. But those are just levels. There's a lot of resistance there, and then when it breaks above, there's a lot of hype around, a lot of talk, everyone starts flooding to it, and that's just how it goes. But right now, that's where we're at. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like this guy says in the video, where's it at? Where's the actual video? Down here, it says this is impossible. It would be insane to sell. I don't think selling silver is or he says, either way, I don't think that selling silver is almost impossible. I just don't see the argument for it, right? And then he also mentions take advantage because silver is on sale at the moment. The question is whether or not you're going to find your price or if it's something you're going to find a little down the road. What is your price? Do you think that this is cheap? Do you think that $26 is too pricey? And I'm curious because if you think that when silver gets to $26 that it's too pricey for you, then you're looking at this from the wrong perspective, especially moving towards $30, $40, $50. Are you going to be selling at those levels or will you be still buying? I'm curious what you would do because none of us have really been in that situation unless you've been stacking for a long time. When silver was $50 in 2011, were you someone that was still buying or were you someone that was selling? Taking some capital off the top, maybe reinvesting later. I mean, what are you doing? I'm curious. Anyways, let me know. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe. I'll post daily videos. Thanks for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.